Dirt kicked up into the morning air as the sun rose over the Melbourne motocross crowd, illuminating the racetracks where history was about to be made. The whistle blew, and off went Twisted Metal, a combustion engine, and one wild, courageous rider, soaring into the air like a free-flying bird. You could cut the tension in the crowd with a knife as the bike started to rotate. The same thought played through every audience member's mind. Is he actually going to be able to correct the bike at the last minute? For a moment in time, Jayden Jayo Archer was frozen above the roaring crowd, floating over the dirt of a motocross track where he belonged. But the stunned silence of the crowd quickly turned to screams of relief and amazement as Archer skillfully flipped his bike through the air, smoothly coming down on the other side of the jump. History was made, and the first triple jump in motocross competition history was witnessed by thousands. This was Jayo Archer's fate: to break records, to soar above the clouds as though he belonged there. This was his element, and he was born for this. Known for defying the very limits of gravity and human capability, Jayo had already secured his place in the annals of extreme sports history. But as fate would have it, in one heart-stopping moment, the thrill of flight turned to tragedy. Join us as we unveil the catastrophic details of Archer's life and the nearly unbelievable story of his death. Like many great motocross legends, Jayo Archer fell in love with the sport at a young age and was infatuated with racing until his very last day on Earth. Archer's journey into the realm of elite stunts began in the quiet fields near Botanic Ridge, just a short distance from Cranbourne, South Australia, where he practiced tirelessly under the watchful eye of his mentor, Cam Sinclair. Sinclair, an X-Games medalist himself, saw the potential in the young Jayo to be world-class. Jayo's aptitude for quickly learning and executing complex maneuvers was exceptional, even as a teenager. Jayo displayed a knack for pushing limits and a fearless approach to the sport. By the time he was in his mid-teens, Jayo was not only attempting, but successfully executing double backflips into foam pits. This feat was groundbreaking at the time, as it had only recently been showcased by motocross legends like Travis Pastrana. The foam pit at his training ground became the laboratory where Jayo tested the limits of what was physically possible on a motorbike. And at the tender age of 15, he started performing double backflips in competitions, a stunt that literally catapulted him into the spotlight and marked him as a prodigious talent in the freestyle motocross world. His ability to perform such high-risk maneuvers at a young age didn't just stem from physical skill, but also from a deep mental resilience and an analytical approach to each jump. He described the process with a clarity that belied his age. You come up to the ramp at a pretty cruisy speed. As you get to the bottom of the ramp, you floor it as hard as you can, full throttle when you hit the ramp. Once your wheel is half a meter off the top of it, you pull off as hard as you can. This meticulous attention to detail and the courage to trust in his skills were crucial as he progressed. Jayo often spoke about the importance of mindset in freestyle motocross, emphasizing that where your head is looking is where your body wants to go. This philosophy guided him through every practice and competition, helping him visualize and execute each stunt with precision. Those close to Jayo described him as a positive personality off the track, yet a force of nature on it. And though his time on Earth would be cut short at just 27 years old, Jayo packed his days with enough grit, adventure, and die-hard spirit to fill entire lifetimes. He constantly overcame injuries, whether it was a fractured hand from a routine practice or more severe accidents, that would have deterred a less determined spirit. In a time where there was little incentive to race, Archer was known in the motocross community for pushing the progression of freestyle motocross to new heights. Even with the inherent dangers of freestyle motocross, Jayo's passion for the sport was undiminished. He sustained injuries, a fractured hand here, a broken ankle there, but each setback served only to strengthen his resolve. Once he remarked, "It's a bit annoying. I've been out watching the guys ride and want to be out there myself, but it's better to let it heal than to hurt it again." There were other obstacles in his way, financial and otherwise, that prevented him from competing as much as he would have liked. But he refused to let the inevitable bumps slow down his relentless drive to become one of the world's greatest freestyle motocross riders. Motocross has been described as one of the most dangerous sports in the world, and for good reason. In this extreme sport, riders perform complex aerial maneuvers during their jumps to qualify for high scores in freestyle competitions. In freestyle motocross, riders like Jay must execute a series of tricks during a jump, starting as they leave the ramp. The timer starts when the bike's front tire leaves the ramp, capturing the duration and execution of the trick. Control over the bike is crucial. Riders must not only perform the trick, but also maintain balance and prepare for the landing. The ride is judged based on the execution of the tricks, style, originality, and the landing. If the rider fails to land successfully, they'll receive deductions or no score, depending on the severity of the mistake. And just one of these elements would end up being Jayo's undoing, as you're about to see. Controlling the bike under extreme conditions and completing these aerial maneuvers successfully is considered the heart and soul of professional freestyle motocross competition. It's also incredibly dangerous. Each jump carries the risk of serious injury or worse, as riders attempt to defy gravity and push the limits of both their bodies and their bikes. Still, if there was anyone who could manage the precarious balance between risk and reward in freestyle motocross, it was Jayo Archer. His rare blend of talent, determination, and an innate understanding of his machine set him apart. Jayo approached each practice and competition with a mix of meticulous preparation and fearless ambition. He understood the mechanics of each trick as deeply as he understood the stakes involved. As he grew older, his repertoire of stunts expanded, but it was always the double backflip that remained his signature move, until he announced himself to the world in 2022 at the Nitro World Games in Brisbane, where he executed a feat previously thought to be impossible in the competitive realm: a triple backflip. Imagine running into a ramp holding nothing and executing a full 360-degree backward rotation while airborne before landing back on the ground. Pretty hard, right? Maybe some of you, like me, have tried backflips while jumping on a trampoline. Now imagine doing that while holding the handlebars of a 300-pound bike and landing with the bike's wheels down and with you, the rider, in complete control. If your angle is even slightly off and you land on top of your front wheel, you'll go catapulting off your bike and deal with some pretty intense injuries, if not worse. Performing this wild trick not only requires precise throttle control, but also a keen sense of balance and spatial awareness. Now, if that sounds hard, prepare yourself for the double backflip. Building on the foundation of the standard backflip, the double backflip doubles the stakes and the spectacle. For this maneuver, the rider performs 2 complete back-to-back rotations in the air before landing perfectly with the bike's wheel down. The double backflip was once considered nearly impossible due to the extreme airtime and rotational speed required. Successfully completing this stunt demands not only greater elevation and more refined aerial control, but also an ironclad mental resolve to commit to the second rotation. Only the best could even dare to attempt it, and Jayo conquered it at just 15. But Jayo Archer wasn't satisfied. He wanted more. His relentless drive and insatiable appetite for pushing the boundaries led him in 2022 to chase after what was once deemed unthinkable in the motocross world: the triple backflip. The triple represents one of the highest challenges in extreme sports, pushing the limits of what is physically and mentally possible. For an attempt to be even made, the first major challenge is achieving sufficient elevation. The ramp for a triple backflip needs to be specially engineered to provide massive lift without compromising the rider's launch trajectory. The rider has to hit the ramp with enough speed to gain the necessary height, while also managing the bike's angle and rotation from the moment of takeoff. Once airborne, the risk of failure becomes even more pronounced. To complete 3 full backflips before returning to the ground, the rider needs to increase his rotational speed dramatically while airborne. This requires not only raw power to initiate the spins, but also precise control over the bike to ensure each rotation is aligned perfectly. The rider must also somehow hold on against the centrifugal force trying to fling them outward, all while maintaining a tight form to keep the spins tight and controlled. During his record-breaking flight, Jayo had to tightly tuck his body and pull the handlebars close, using both his arms and core to spin the bike. While spinning through the air, he had to constantly adjust his body's positioning and the bike's orientation to ensure each flip transitioned smoothly into the next. With the 3 flips completed, there was still one more major hurdle to cross: the landing. This, in fact, is considered the most dangerous part of the whole debacle. This is the moment where precision meets guts. One wrong move, and the consequences would be supremely unpleasant. In his record-breaking attempt, Jayo had to time his exit from the final rotation to ensure the wheels hit the ramp squarely and absorb the impact effectively at just the right time. The landing had to be executed with utmost precision to maintain balance and control, and avoid any end-over-end tumbles or sideways crash. It was bold, it was audacious, it was extremely dangerous. And Jayo did it all without breaking a sweat. As Archer soared through the air in November 2022 at the Brisbane Games, executing the triple backflip with precision, the crowd held its breath, only to erupt into cheers upon his successful landing. He was one of 2 people to ever perform the triple backflip in motocross history, and the only one to do it in a competition. The moment was emblematic of his entire career, pushing the limits and setting new benchmarks. "I cannot describe this feeling," Archer exclaimed in an interview after his landing, overwhelmed with emotion. "This is so much more than a trick to me. I've dedicated my entire life the last 3 years to this moment. There were a lot of obstacles and broken bones and knockouts, and I would do it 100 times over to relive that moment again." In a touching culmination to his triumphant performance, Archer proposed to his girlfriend, Beth King, right in front of an adoring crowd. The proposal was a beautiful intersection of personal joy and professional peak, symbolizing his ascent not just in motocross, but in life. He and Beth made plans to get married in 2024, a wedding that would heartbreakingly never happen. With an adoring crowd and a loving partner, Archer's reputation and professional career took off very fast. His riding stardom was further cemented at the X Games California, where he claimed a bronze medal in the Moto X Best Trick competition. His stunning performance there reinforced his status as a top contender in the sport, capable of not only competing with, but also surpassing seasoned veterans. American motorsports star Travis Pastrana, who started Nitro Circus, told ESPN that Archer pushed the limits of the sport. Jayo grew up in a time when action sports was at its biggest, and he always wanted to do the big stuff like the double and the triple, even though there weren't a lot of places to showcase those bigger tricks. He'd get up every morning at 4 a.m. and go to the gym before work so he could ride his dirt bike. He was destined for the very top, and nothing could stop him, it seemed. But fate had other plans. It was a normal day on the 21st of February, 2024, in Melbourne, Australia, when Jayden, by now infamous for his daring feats, prepared for some practice at his hometown track. That day, he decided to practice the move that had brought him fame, but also significant risk: the triple backflip. Rumor had it that he was already preparing to go even further in the next competition by successfully platforming a quadruple backflip. Whether that would ever even be physically possible will be forever lost to history, as what was meant to be just a normal practice run turned into something much worse. The exact details of this incident have been closely guarded to protect and respect the privacy of the family, and in honor of Jayo's unbelievable work ethic and talent, I don't want to speculate too much. But what we do know is that what was about to happen was nearly unbelievable for such a skilled, seasoned rider. As he had so many times before, Jayo geared up, clad in his full protective gear, with his helmet tightened and gloves secured. He revved his bike and approached the ramp. Jayo launched off the ramp at full throttle, the bike roaring beneath him as he ascended into the air. True to his legendary status, he executed the first 2 rotations of the triple backflip with flawless precision. However, as he initiated the third and final backflip, the gravity of the attempt weighed heavily on the moment, and perhaps gravity itself had other plans. In those critical, interminable seconds, as Jayo reached the zenith of his jump, something went wrong. Perhaps a slight miscalculation in speed or rotation, the type only a seasoned rider might detect, caused his alignment to falter. As he descended, the control that Jayo had always maintained seemed to slip just this once. It became clear that the landing would not be as planned. Jayo's bike touched down hard on the edge of the landing ramp, the impact more severe than any training fall, as gravity reclaimed Jayo, pulling him back towards the earth faster and more harshly than expected. Jayo was thrown violently to the ground, striking the hard-packed earth with a terrifying finality. In the blink of an eye, landing the triple backflip, a feat Jayo had mastered over and over again, turned from a celebration of skill to a heart-stopping ordeal in a nearly unbelievable tragedy. Despite their efforts to assist him, the injuries Jayo sustained were catastrophic. Moments later, on February 21st, 2024, it was official. Jayden Jayo Archer, fearless pioneer of freestyle motocross, had passed away during what was supposed to be just another practice day on the track. His mother, Tracy, would later describe the last interaction she had with her son in the moments before his fateful ride. 14 minutes before my beloved son left this earth, he screenshotted a quote. "I'm strong because I was raised by a strong woman," she said. "I will hold on to this for the rest of my life." Freestyle motocross is obviously an inherently dangerous sport, but over the years, riders have adopted more protective equipment to minimize the risks. Following several high-profile injuries in the sport, all professional riders now wear specialized gear made of impact-absorbing materials that protect the body during falls and crashes. These include helmets, neck braces, knee guards, and motocross jackets equipped with body armor. Many riders also wear full bodysuits that integrate reinforced padding in critical areas. Despite these precautions, severe injuries and even fatalities can still occur. The enormous forces exerted during high-impact crashes or falls present impossible challenges. In Jayo's case, he was wearing a full set of protective gear, including a helmet and a reinforced motocross jacket. But the forces involved in his crash were overwhelming. The protective gear would have absorbed some of the force, but the severe trauma sustained during the fall proved too much. "No one had a bigger heart or more determination than Jayo," said Ricky Melnick, Senior Vice President and GM of Nitro Circus. "We called him the Incredible Hulk. He was a beast on the bike and a gentle giant off it. Watching him go through the process of learning and landing the triple flip in competition was so inspiring." In the wake of this heartbreaking event, Travis Pastrana, legend and close friend of Jayo, expressed his grief and remembrance. Moved by the legacy of his late friend, Travis shared a video on Instagram of Jayo's historic triple backflip, the feat that had defined his career. This tribute captured a moment of pure triumph, Jayo dismounting his bike and running towards his team, arms raised in jubilation, an image that would forever echo in the hearts of those who admired him. "Thank you for the memories, friend," Pastrana said in his final tribute message. "Thank you for being such a great human and positive role model for all of us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay bold and live brave."